So I saw this Reddit post and I wanted to talk about this because I don't think I've ever, had a discussion about this with you guys. But I thought this would be interesting to talk about. And depending on how this video gets recommended, I'm either going to have a lot of people in my comment section hating me, or I'm going to have people agreeing with me. So just speak your mind, whatever. If you hate me, if you don't think I'm right, comment down below why I'm wrong. But I want to have this discussion because I've heard it being said a lot recently because prices for products are expensive. All these new products like Prismatic Evolution, Surging Sparks, they're all way above MSRP. And basically everything now is above MSRP. I think the only thing that you could possibly get for MSRP really is Shrouded Fable. And I believe that's it. So I do understand at this point, technically everything's expensive because everything's over the MSRP. And a lot of people complain about it. And a lot of people complain because of the kids. Now, I feel like this is really up for debate, which is why this video might be very polarizing. But I wanted to talk about it and give you my opinion on this whole thing with Pokemon is just made for kids. Because, there's people out there that say, they call investors or scalpers, people like me, right? They say we're childish and stuff for hoarding, a kid's trading card game. There's a lot of those people that say that. And I guess I wanted to talk about this topic. Is Pokemon just really made for kids, or is it meant for everybody? So this post, as you can see here in the title, says Pokemon isn't just made for kids. Now this is also on the Pokemon TCG subreddit. It's not just on the Poke Investing one. And they're saying that I see that or similar statements made a lot lately, usually in an attempt to shame scalpers. That is true. Pokemon is marketed to everyone, and a large amount of collectors are adults. That is very true. I'm going to get to that after I read this post. A lot of people who play Pokemon games are adults. Pretty much everyone dislikes scalpers. It sucks when product goes out of stock in seconds. You're not belittling them with a pathetic insult that it's a kid's product. You're just being dishonest. Pokemon is for everyone. So this is the big thing I want to get at here, is that a large amount of collectors are adults. Think about all these people online right now. You see on subreddits, on YouTube, anywhere online, people that are complaining about prices and getting mad at scalpers. Who are the people complaining? Are they 10-year-old children on the internet complaining about prices? No, they're grown adults. So for people out there that call, investors, scalpers, whatever, say, oh, you're just hoarding a children's card game, you're so childish for doing that or whatever. Well, if you think about it this way, you're a grown adult too, online complaining and whining. To me, it's the same thing. How are you going to call, somebody who's buying or scalping, investing into Pokemon, childish for, buying sealed product of a kid's game, while you're the one who wants to buy that stuff? You're the one who wants to buy that childish kid game. That to me doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So I feel like, you got to just sometimes look at the mirror and, see what you're really saying, because the people complaining about the scalpers and stuff, about hoarding this childish kid game, you're the one buying that. So I don't see where you think you're right if you're saying that these, investor stuff are childish or whatever for hoarding a kid's game when you're complaining about it. It's pretty strange. And another thing I want to talk about is, I guess, just this whole thing that kids or whatever now, they can't afford, Pokemon cards or whatever. This is what I have to say to that, because I don't believe it's true, and I'm going to explain why. So I will agree for one thing, that it is very, very hard to find any Pokemon product in the wild at Walmart's, Targets. And the reason why I know that is because I go to Walmart pretty often just to buy normal daily stuff that I, use in my life. And every time I go there, I just, walk past the section of cards. Every single time I go there, it's empty. So I do understand that complaint that you can't simply just walk in a store and find stuff. I will agree with that. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, it's easy to find stuff, because it's not. So I agree with that, aspect of just maybe normal, just general people that maybe don't go online to buy Pokemon cards, which is another option, but a lot of people don't. People just walk into stores and stuff and just buy whatever's on the shelves. I understand that can be frustrating, 100%. I can't find anything. So I do, get that point. But I guess going back to what I'm trying to, get back to my point, with what I'm trying to say here is with, kids not being able to afford cards. I feel like that's not true. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, for the most part, okay, I know some kids might have, I guess kids is sort of a general term and vague term. on what is a kid like under 18. Like, what are we talking about here? But I think we're mainly talking about like 10-year-old children, right? For the most part, I know some kids maybe have jobs or something at that age. Probably not, right? But who do you think is buying those cars for those kids? If those kids that are 10 years old, most of them don't have jobs, right? Who is the money coming from? The parents. Now, you can argue that maybe the parents give the kids allowances, maybe they give them like $5, $10 a week or a month, I don't know, something like that, and that's why they can't afford it. Sure, but for the most part, I think these parents are buying the product for their kids, and it's just the parents complaining that they can't buy it for the kids. So it's really not the kids that can't afford it, it's the adults. So that's where I feel like some things do get kind of skewed, and I feel like people do make things seem, I guess, worse or whatever. Because, if kids were using their hard-earned money, like with a job or something, then I understand. But for the most part, these young kids that are 5, 6 years old, where these people on these subreddits are complaining that my kid can't afford it, you're the one paying. I don't think your kid has a job at 5, 6 years old. So I feel like that is sort of blown out of proportion with people saying my kids can't afford it. If anything, it's probably you. And I'm not trying to sit here and, I guess, I don't know, say anything bad about that. If you can't afford it, then, I mean, I get it. I'm not trying to say anything bad about that, but it would be you then, right? I don't believe that it's just the kids that can't afford it. It would be yourself. So I think that's just another statement I just wanted to talk about with, people saying, kids, it's too expensive. This card game's too expensive for kids. First of all, I don't believe this is just a kids game. I do feel like it's marketed towards everyone. I mean, if you go onto the Pokemon Center website and you see a lot of their clothing and products, a lot of them are adult stuff. They have watches, that they've done collaborations with. I don't feel like this is just a kids game. There's a lot of adult fans out there, and when you go to these, collecticons and stuff, there's a ton of adults with doing this stuff, and I feel like it has gotten more widespread with the, I guess market Pokemon has. Maybe 10 years ago it was more towards Pokemon, or more towards kids. I don't know what I'm saying. More towards kids, maybe that they were directed towards, like for like 10 years ago. But I feel like recently it has gotten a lot more mainstream for adults to be into Pokemon. So yeah, I just feel like this whole thing being said about Pokemon just being a children's game and all these people complaining about prices and their kids can't afford it, I feel like a lot of it is wrong and blown out of proportion. I do think this, Pokemon thing now is generally just marketed towards everyone at this point, all ages. And also, just the whole thing with people saying that their kids can't afford it, I do believe to some extent that is kind of, not really true, because for the most part, parents are buying their kids the cards. So that's all I have to say about this. Let me know down in the comments what you think about, I guess what I have to say. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.